Hi Marta, thanks so much for joining us on Beauty by the Numbers today. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure. So I'm very happy to be here.
No, I'm glad. You want to kind of start off by telling us a little bit about your journey so far, so the audience can kind of get to know you.
Yeah. So my background is in economics. So my bachelor I did Milan in economics, and when I moved to London, I took a master in luxury brand management. That from that stage, I just like fell in love with the industry. My path was very clear. I had my objectives in mind. Yes, I wanna, work in industry, in e-com. And then from that moment, I started doing like some consultancy for some of my professors. And then I found myself like a job in e-com in a very small brand, but I actually had visibility 360 because I was training the website, creating like ads on Facebook, building from scratch like the PPC strategy, and then like send out emails, so like all the CRM piece. And then I changed job again, and then I went to like a slightly like bigger brand where I was in charge of like all the daily operations of the website. I was working the CRM like strategy with my manager, and then again dealing with like paid social and paid search activities. And then when the opportunity came from Malone, I joined the global online team where I looked after like data, insider analytics for the line team, so dealing with like campaign reporting, business like analysis, and then working with very like different teams to and trying to be like a more like 360 like view or the online performance. And now I'm about just like to join another beauty brand as an e-com and CRM manager.
Very exciting. So good, a really sort of accomplished and sort of exciting career so far then.
Yeah, hopefully we'll continue
Uh,
this way.
yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Set the scene for me, kind of. Yeah, set the scene for me. Like, what, just for our audience to sort of know, what does a day in their life look like for someone who works for such a large beauty brand in the sort of data space?
Yeah, so at John Malone, what I was looking after, it was me like campaign reporting, and then I would have like ad hoc requests for like internal use or like other teams. So every 3 months,
Yeah.
we would have like a new campaign launching on the website, like internationally, so like worldwide. We have more than 30 websites. So my job was actually like after 2 weeks, kind of like grasp an understanding how the campaign was doing in each of the website. So from like a template point of view, customer journey, bestsellers, and then compare the newness of the campaign against the core business. And then I would do like a wash up, and then that would feed into like the product marketing kind of final report. But then I would do like
Yeah.
analyses on like the channels, also how the channels like are performing like in each market. Do we see any gaps, like something that is not working? I did like an analysis of conversion rate. So in one market we saw that there was like a drop in conversion rate. So like my job was like understanding why. So the reason why, and trying to understand what the quick wins will be for the market to kind of like activate and just like trying to improve the performance. So it's very like kind of anything that was related like to reporting with a campaign or like a specific product, but also kind of like working on the dashboard. So that's a dashboard, and trying to flag any discrepancies, because when you work in data, it's very, very common that you will never see the same data twice because the sources could be different. You
Yeah.
can use a dashboard where other platforms like feed into information. So you kind of need to work maybe with like a 5, 15, 20% of discrepancy and trying to make sense of it. And so working with the SLO like data team to trying to avoid every big gap, because otherwise like you won't be able like to see and
Yeah.
analyze and share like the full and the realistic, like picture of what's going on for the business. So very interesting role, to be fair. I think very, very important, with a lot of like
Yeah.
potential like growth.
And how did you find it sort of working for a beauty brand? Like going using their data? Like, was it any different to sort of any of the other roles that you've had before?
To be fair, I think it's a very like transversal like role. So like you can actually work in the beauty industry and then move it into fashion. Like the basics are the same. So, and
Yeah.
wherever you go, like you should be able like to have like a data-driven like culture, because I believe every
Yeah.
business like decision should be like informed like through like and back up like with data. So like in order like to do that, you have to have the right people in place with the right tools, because you can have the most like skilled people, but if you don't have like the right
Yeah.
platform that they can use, is actually pretty like pointless. So the beauty of data is that if you know how to read data and to analyze
Yeah. No, of course.
large database, then you can work like wherever you want, because data is data. Like data tells you a story. You just need to be able like to understand what the data tells you, and work with the information in order to make like valuable insights, and then to write like actionable outcomes, and
Yeah.
then like to give it like to the director, and in order like to build like a solid like strategy, but always like back up um with data. If you don't have data and you want like to grow,
Yeah.
expand your business, like how would you do that? Like how do you know like how much money to invest in which channels? And also you can have, there are like very like data sets that you need to have in place. So Google Analytics is a great platform, but like it doesn't tell you like everything about like your business, because it doesn't have the qualitative information that you also need. So you also need some like consumer insights like platform, as well as like engagement platform. So in order to really have like 360 view, connect the
Yeah.
dots and see, okay, this is what's going on, and this is how I'm building, like my case. I'm seeing like the gaps, and this is how like I'm intervene, to kind of like fill the gaps in the business.
No, of course. And I think you say that sometimes you do wonder how, obviously now, so a lot of the sort of retail beauty industry like have large data teams, but you do sort of look back and think, how did we ever how did we ever get there before, to make those decisions without being sort of backed by data? How would you say that you would go about driving sort of the different culture in the beauty space?
I'm so sorry. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, no, that's okay. How would you go about driving a data-driven culture in the beauty space?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, you really need to have like the right people and the right tools. So you need to give to the right people like the tool to succeed. This means having analysts across teams. So
Yeah.
analysts that will see like within like finance, but also paid media, CRM, online, and consumer marketing. Because from finance you receive like net sales, like retail sales, which is like, I mean, it's essential, like market share, mix of business. But then you need to know like your consumer. In order like to know your consumer, you need like to collect data like from these like specific platforms that will tell you, consumer X landed like on my website, but then where does she go? Like, does she go like on the navigation? But then if she doesn't find like the things she looks for on navigation, does she use like the search bar? And then when she uses like the search bar, is it more like generic terms or very like product specific? So it's more like a mission driven journey, or just like browsing. And then in beauty, like big part of the business strategy is gifting, right? So when consumer like go and want to order like with a gift and intention, how do they move like on the website? Do I have like a gifting session on my website? How do I know like this customer is purchasing for like herself or for someone else? There are like so many things that you can
So many different
track and then like report back into, but you really need to have the right tools, and then teams needs to really communicate like with each other. Because for example, for online, you can draw some like KPIs like sessions or like traffic to the website, revenues, conversion rate, add to cart, so how's the checkout is performing, but then you're still missing the qualitative information from a customer point of view. For example, is all my customer converting like the first time they land on the website, or how long does it take them like to finally convert? Because for many brands you can have like luxury products, so it's a more like a considerate purchase. So that people lands on the website, they're browsing, they say, actually, I've got no way until the payday to buy this fragrance. And then what's the gap? And so what can you do in the meantime? Have to sign up to the newsletter, so you actually start like a communication for the newsletter, or did they sign up for like to receive texts? So actually a more like direct conversation, it means they're more engaged and actually maybe like their commitment to purchase is higher. So there are like so many like touch points that you can track in order also like to build like a flawless customer journey for your prospect customer. But to be fair, it's hard because to kind of like drive like a data culture, because sometimes like a brand could be led by like more like creative or like storytelling, but data will tell you like if your strategy is working or not. So it's so important. And to be fair, to promote that, like you need to sustain and promote, give visibility to analysts, because if you don't give them like visibility, they won't be able like to understand like the gaps, maybe like understand what's the bigger picture. Because sometimes like we do like reports that are very like specific ad hoc requests, but it's still missing like the bigger picture. Like how does my report like feed into like the bigger strategy, right? So I mean, it's hard to balance, but data like it's so essential.
There's lots there as well. We discussed the sort of opportunities and challenges that come alongside being data driven. As well. But how would you sort of go about, I know this sort of ties in a little bit, how would you go about developing a sort of e-commerce strategy for a beauty brand?
I couldn't hear you. I'm so sorry.
Say it again. No, I'm not sure why you can't hear me. How would you go about developing an e-commerce strategy for a retail brand?
Oh, yeah. So I mean, usually brands have, like the P&L plan. So like 5 years, 10 years, like 3 years, like plans when say, like in 2 years, my market share, my revenues should be at this stage. So on the back of that, you have your marketing calendar. So a marketing calendar could be like divided into quarters. Every quarters will have like the primary campaign that will be live on the website, and then on the back of that you have like seasonal promotions, always on. So it's kind of like feeding into like your product and your consumer strategy. So based on the calendar, now you can build your trading, CRM, and then like paid media kind of calendar. So everything is consistent. And then it makes sense with the overall strategy. So you can go actually like as detailed as you wish, but then always like having in mind your product strategy. So for example, like visual merchandising for a website is essential. What what do I want to push? What do I want like to always have like visibility on? So it should be like a mix of like stock availability, newness, seasonality, or if I want like to bundle, you know, like my products, like how do I do that? Like if I'm very known for one category, for example, for like lipstick, but I also want my customers to be introduced to like mascaras. How do I give like visibility like to that category, like to encourage like a cross-selling activity? And then again, consumer strategy, super important. So like, who am I targeting? Who is the consumer that I know it will purchase like my products? How am I talking to them about like my branding, my values, my mission? Am I also acquiring the right customer? You will see like so often that you will see sessions on the website when plus like 20% year on year, but actually conversion rate and revenues is flat, or
Yeah.
actually like down year on year or like month to month. That's because you're driving like unqualified traffic to your site. So traffic is only like uplifting traffic is only good is also your revenues and conversion rate like follows. Otherwise you're just like driving like people to the website but actually not interested, like they're not in your kind of like income kind of range to be able like to purchase and to become like active customer. And then what kind of experience am I, you know, offering to my customer? Is it flawless? Is it very like kind of they need to search for the product, or am I helping them? How personalized is the service I'm giving? You know, it's very different when, you know, you are prospect, so like maybe you don't know the brand, you land on the website, compared to I'm active customers. I've been, you know, like purchasing with the brand for the last 10 years. I know what I want. So like, what's my journey? It should be it should be different, right? Because it's a different mission. And then so product, customer, and then again how it translates to the website. So of course, like you need to like report on some metric. And then it could happen that you miss your plan and your target. So you always need to have like a backup kind of like mitigation plan. So you have your overall strategy, ideal, like how you hope it will go. But then if it doesn't, then you always need like a mitigation plan in place.
Yeah, that's perfect. And how I think it's so important as well, especially in a beauty and sort of retail brand, that we have the right data talent. And obviously, you can have a data team and you can have a big data team, but if they're not, I think, following the sort of mission of the company or in with the data culture and stuff like that, I think it's not always what you're sort of looking for. So how do you kind of go about finding and sort of attracting the right data to German links? I think in the beauty industry, we are a little bit behind in terms of data in some ways. And it's how do we attract the best data talent when we're against other sort of competitors and other industries?
I think, to be fair, it comes down to be like very transparent, and then the willing also like invest into data. To be fair, like I think some beauty brands, that they don't still have the structure like to support like analysts, maybe compared like to other industry that are super maybe like tech brands, like they're super like data driven, they're like advanced in the platforms like they use. They actually have like super custom like dashboards when you can filter like all your KPIs, and then you can combine, you know, like very large like data sets. You know, like they're using like Power BI, exceptional like tools. They have like so many tools that actually they use on a daily basis. But then, you know, beauty brands sometimes, you know, GA, nice, it's not enough. So you kind of need to be like very transparent, and then you need to have like a very unique proposition, you know, like for that person of the team. Is like, this is the situation, but you know, we want some good talent to help us like improve and grow in that section. So give them like space, give them like room to grow, give them like a voice to speak up and be like involved in meetings. Like I don't know how many times like information has been cascaded, but it's not the same thing as being like in the meeting, listening. And then if you are an analyst, your mindset is like, oh, this person said that actually, because I know because of this like report that I've just done, this makes sense with this. I can, you know, like do another analysis and connect the dots. It's like involve them in the strategy, what you're thinking, be very like transparent and invest in them, but also like in the ideas and the platforms that they need in order to succeed. That I think is all about it.
I think it's that thing. Yeah, I think it's that thing sort of, if you fail fast, you learn quicker. With them involved right from the beginning and sort of everything, then do you know what I mean? You can make mistakes very quickly, and then you sort of, once you've made a mistake, you learn from that mistake that you've made. And you've got always know, I think I've learned from that. But that is, yeah, really interesting. And I suppose that touches on, you know, some of those challenges we face in the industry. Um, are there any sort of other challenges that you can see us sort of facing in the next sort of, yeah,
I mean, in the beauty industry, I think, I mean, it's hard for a brand like to stay relevant because it's such a like overcrowded industry. So if you really want to stay relevant and just like not survive just like through promotions and discounts, because that's like just like a short-term solution, you really need to invest in your like in a compelling storytelling, unique like experience for the customers. What's your mission? Like think like long term and not just like short terms. Like short terms, like solution, quick wins. They will give you revenues for like 3-6 months. But what's your overall strategy? How do you like stay relevant in the industry where like retailers are so competitive when it comes like to offers, and then they have like such a wide like offering. So how as a like that just it just you with your story, with your mission, like stay relevant. It's also all about like trying like to go international, like grow international geographically, but also with like a very good like channel expansion. And then in order like to do that, then you need to invest into innovation, and then compare like product like portfolios. It's also, which is very hard for beauty, it's all about like trying to educate your consumers to avoid like false claims, unrealistic goals. Marketing means you're gonna use this serum like in one night, your skin is gonna shine, it's gonna it's gonna look like brand new. That's simply not true. There are like so many ways that you can educate your customers for like a better use of your product, for the right use of the product. And also I think now like just like to offer like unrealistic like beauty standards, especially now like the Gen Z like is super aware on social media, it's just like not a good strategy. So if you promote like skin patch tests, and then if you say actually these product has been tested on like Caucasian skin but also like Asian skin, just like all about diversity, inclusion, that's I think is going to be more like long-term like strategy, and then will make you say like relevant within the industry. I mean, if you look on TikTok nowadays, there are so many like viral products, like the rosemary oil. I mean, I bought it because like I was influenced by TikTok. I mean, it's a very good product, but like then it's also like a missing, purchase, a missing order for like organic like beauty brand that maybe has like a similar product but hasn't like invested like enough like behind it. Or now there are so many celebrity brands, but they might be very good, but also like, do you know about like how sustainable they are? You know, like do they use like organic products? How good these
Yeah,
products are on your skin? I just buying them because, you know, like you see them like on, you know, major influencers or celebrity, and so you just buying like the product of the moment, but like how good is for you,
yeah.
kind of.
We actually had one of our other guests mention that he worked for sort of a large, actually a clothing brand or sort of like an online store. And he was basically just saying that like you can't hide from people. Like you have honest reviews, people are really scared to say what they think, and it's just so easily accessible to so like millions
Yeah,
of people. I could post a video now. I'd be lucky if but I would post a video and it could get millions of views in a week, and you could
yeah,
literally ruin brand. So you just have to be so careful that you're sticking behind what you say your brand is, and you're sort of mission behind everything. As long as you stick to that and you're backed up by sort of data insights, then you're definitely on the right way to sort of being successful or remaining sort of relevant.
yeah. Because I mean, like TikTok, also like Instagram, like gave a voice to basically everyone. So if someone is saying, ah,
Yeah,
this product like is amazing, it's really working, but then like 20 other like million people like common like customers say actually this doesn't work on my skin, because you know like not everyone has like a perfect skin. So it's very like interesting, or actually like tricky, like to see a very like influencer celebrity with like perfect skin, but and
yeah,
then using that product. But then when you have, you know, you can have like acne, you can have like rashes like on your skin, the product like might be not good for you. So like brands just need to be like very honest, like transparent, just like say what you're working on, like what's the also like the real benefits that of your product. Like do you have any like neuroscience like claims, like use that, but like how does it make you feel, like um as well. Like it's not all about like looking beautiful or like for like just chasing the unrealistic like beauty standards, but like how does it make you feel, all about like
yeah,
wellness,
yeah, of
well-being.
course. I think as well that's why personalization is so important as well. 'Cause you can go on a for example, I've seen so many skincare brands now that you could just go online and send the pictures of your skin and they'll totally change the appearance of your skin. I think that offers something different as well. If influencers were sort of promoting things like that, then there wouldn't be as many people going out there thinking that they're going to come back with brand new skin
Yeah,
when they're not. When you could go out get a personalized treatment, and yeah, that might work for you, but for example, not so might work for me, it might not work for someone else. So like I think personalization and things like that definitely is so important in our industry, especially.
yeah, they also like, yeah, I think it's very interesting when brands also like use so like quizzes, you know, because I think also the brand like should like educate the customer, but kind of like give them like guidelines. You know, you like this product, but actually this product it's not really the right one for you, but we have this instead. You know, like tell us your
Yeah,
like skin concerns, like issues, like what do you want to achieve, and then you know we're gonna offer you like the perfect like product for you. So that works
yeah,
really well. There was like a major like TikTok campaign about like this like foundation like brand, you know, like and then skin patch, and there was like the perfect match. So you actually need to be also kind of like find smart ways of like selling your product, um, but always like I think like
without being.
in honesty,
I think
always
it's
like
interesting though. Yeah, I think it's interesting though because obviously the influencers are used to increase sales because they have such a large influence over so many different people. Using a product means that thousands of sort of young girls and guys will go out and buy that product. By being, might sound really bad, but by beauty brands sort of using those avenues and trying to be more sustainable and help people find products based on what they're actually looking for rather than being influenced by people, is that not reducing sales? Um,
I mean, I think you can see like both sides. So like when, for example, like brands do some collaborations with influencers is a way of like creating like brand awareness. So kind of like reaching customers that
Yeah,
otherwise like you couldn't reach. But it's also maybe like they will purchase your product not for the right reasons in a way. It could be like one time purchase, but then they will never come back to your brand because they just see once on the influencers, I'm gonna buy their, beautiful like blush, but just because of like I saw on this influencer, but actually I've no commitment to the brand whatsoever. I don't know the mission. I will never buy them again because if I don't see it around, then why should I buy it? So I see
yeah,
both sides, kind of thing. But this is also shows that how important is also having other kind of contents that just not only influencer like driven. So like
yeah,
videos where you explain like your pillars, the benefits of your products, and then maybe like just like show like normal consumers instead of like influencers. So it's like the peers review, like if I see someone that kind of looks like me using the product and see if that works, I might be buying it. Like I don't need like a major celebrity to show that that product works, but actually like a person that kind
yeah,
of looks like me, it's more convincing. But it's interesting, both sides. I can see like benefits and cons in both sides.
yeah. No, definitely. I just sort of thought about that, and I think as well for me, I think it depends on your age group as well, because I think that might be maybe a bit rude, but I think that from 18 to sort of 24, you're, you're more likely to be influenced. You know what I mean? You're in the years of sort of school, university. I think when you sort of come out 24 plus, I think it's obviously probably dependent on the age of the type of thing as well, what sort of strategy you would but that sort of leads us on to what are the sort of biggest opportunities? I know we've spoken about this briefly, but you see in the future.
I think depends like when where the brand is kind of like positioning itself, but that definitely there is like an opportunity like if brands want to tap into like the luxury and ultra like luxury section and product of the industry because global community of like high earning people and luxury clients is growing. Those are the people that mainly like go to a spa, but then they still like purchase maybe like premium brands product where maybe they could
Yeah,
find like the same kind of service from like a beauty brand. So through like virtual consultation, master classes. I think it's all about like tailoring your offering, but also like if you want to expand like for example internationally, you really need to like meet the local expectation kind of thing. So again, knowing your consumers, every market has like a different maybe like beauty cultures like we just be introduced like to the Korean like Japanese like skincare everything like 7 or 8 steps where like before
yeah,
that
loads.
I don't think like Europeans just like knew that they need to put like lotion and then like the serum and then like other products. So it's very different. Or the messaging, like how like the copy. So like China, like the Chinese like consumers is gonna be like responding the same way as a like an Italian consumers. I don't think so, because culturally they're very different. The language is different. So the claims that you could have in Italy, maybe they're not the claims that will work as well as in China. So really trying like to personalize the service, knowing how the customer
Yeah,
behave. And also I think it's just like mentioned before, but it's so important also kind of to like open and upgrade your product range. Like for example, like I saw many beauty brands
yeah,
now in, like supplements. These were never like done before. again, because now I think maybe after COVID, like it's all about enlisting well-being, like feeling good more than kind of looking perfect, right? So supplements, devices, for example, like the lead mask thing that looks a little bit scary, but really works. Like,
Very.
and now yeah, it's sold by beauty brands and not just like by like tech brands, or it's not just like a treatment that you could receive at the spa, but you can actually buy it and do it at home. That's, I think it's a
Love it
great
at home. Mm.
idea. Or another idea could be another opportunity is like the sleep routine, right? So Joe Malone did like a night collection, or now there are many beauty brands that do create like pillow mists. So to promote like tranquility, wellness. It's not about like looking great before going to sleep, because like who's gonna see you like when you are in your bed, but how you feel, you know, like when you're just like about to fall
Yeah.
asleep, you're ready for like the new day. So I think also it's very important, a great opportunity to tap into like a mental health um, kind of like conversations. How, you know, a product like will
Yeah.
make you feel like it's so like important, because it's just not about like appearing to like other people, but if I, you know, like if I use a hand cream, is a comforting, like, is the smell like comforting, is like what's the texture, you know, it's a very soft, is it oily, is it greasy, or is it very like smooth to the touch, and you know, like it will leave my skin like very moisturized, but the scent is very, it's like a warm hug kind of thing. I think it's
Yeah.
also important like claims.
No, it's so important, and I think we're finally making that step away from sort of really sort of negative things that were happening in our industry, and we're actually using sort of data to make a really positive change. And yeah, that's just some of the examples of the things that we're going to be seeing in the next few years. Thank you so much for coming on today. I've really
Thank you so
enjoyed
much.
having you and your today.